Have you ever used a product and just thought, wow, it's like they read my mind? And on the flip side, have you ever used something that was just completely frustrating? Well, the secret ingredient isn't magic. It's user research. Today, we're going to dig into why understanding your users isn't just a nice to have, it's absolutely fundamental to business success. So let's kick things off with a legendary story. You might have heard of it, the $300 million button. The short version is this: a company made one simple change to a button on their checkout form, all based on what they learned from user research. The result? A 45% jump in conversions. That meant an extra $15 million in revenue in just the first month. It's a pretty mind-blowing example of how a tiny insight can have a massive, massive impact. But that's what happens when you get it right. So, what's the cost of getting it wrong? That brings us to a really important topic: the incredibly high price of just guessing. At the end of the day, every product team really faces this one choice. Are you going to build what you think users want based on your own intuition? Or are you going to build what they actually want based on real insight? One path leads to wasted time and money, and the other, well, that leads to a product people genuinely love to use. And we can actually put a number on that waste. Check this out. Without solid user insights, a staggering 50%, that's half of a development team's time, is spent on rework. Just think about that. Half of your most skilled, most expensive resources' time is spent fixing things that could have been built right the first time. It's a huge, totally avoidable cost. So we've seen the painful cost of guessing. Now let's flip the coin and look at the other side, the incredible return on investment you get from user insight. Okay, if you're looking for a number that'll make any executive sit up and pay attention, this is it. A report from Forrester found that for every single dollar you invest in user experience, the potential return is $100. No, I'm not kidding. That's an ROI of 9,900%. It just goes to show you the unbelievable financial power that comes from truly understanding the people you're building for. And that ROI isn't just some abstract number. It translates directly into performance. Forrester also found that websites with a superior user experience see a 400% higher conversion rate. It's not about making things look pretty, it's about building a better, more effective engine for your business. And the benefits are just so broad, it's not about one single metric. When you invest in UX research, you cut down on development time and costs, because you're avoiding all that rework we just talked about. You also slash your maintenance and support costs, because the product is just easier to use. And of course, you see a jump in user adoption, satisfaction, revenue, and even productivity. It's a win-win-win across the board. All right, so the why is pretty clear, right? The business case is solid. But what does this actually look like in the real world? How does it work? Let's take a look at user research in action. See, user research isn't just a thing you do once. It's a constant feedback loop. So where does it fit in? Well, right at the start, to help you prioritize features by finding out what's causing users the most pain. Then, before you write a single line of code, you use it to validate your concepts. Is this even something people want? Research also helps you define your minimum lovable product, separating what's essential from what's just a nice to have. And finally, it guides your design by testing different options to see what's actually usable. Every single one of these steps saves time, reduces risk, and helps you build a better product. And it's not always just about revenue or conversions. In some fields, like designing medical devices, usability is literally a matter of life and death. If the interface on a critical piece of hospital equipment is confusing, it can lead to devastating errors. In these situations, user research isn't just good business, it's an absolute moral imperative. And that idea of responsibility, of doing no harm, it goes way beyond just medical devices. It leads us right into the crucial topics of accessibility and ethics that apply to all product design. So what exactly do we mean when we say digital accessibility? It's actually really simple. It means designing and building things in a way that people with disabilities can use them. It's about making sure that your digital world is open to everyone, no exceptions. And if you think this is some kind of niche issue, think again. More than 1 in 4 adults in the US alone has some form of disability. That's over 70 million people. So designing for accessibility isn't just the right thing to do, it's about properly serving a huge part of the population that's been ignored for way too long. And when we do this work, we're dealing with real people. That comes with a serious ethical responsibility. We have to be totally transparent and get their informed consent. We have to fiercely protect their privacy and their data. And above all else, we have a duty to do no harm.
As researchers, our job is to stay neutral, avoid bias, and always, always interpret our findings honestly. This is our non-negotiable code of conduct.
So, what happens when a company truly gets this? When they embrace the ROI, the process, and the ethics? Well, they become a company that's reached the very peak of being user-centric. The Nielsen-Norman Group calls this highest level of maturity user-driven. And at this stage, user-centered design isn't just some team or department. It's the driving force behind everything. It shapes the entire company's strategy, it informs every little design detail, and it's what uncovers those unmet needs in the market that lead to true innovation. And that brings us to the final, and I think most important question, the one to really think about. When you look at how decisions are made where you are, is your company still just guessing, or is it truly user-driven?